Yo, what's going on YouTube? I'm Sue, and if you clicked on this video, it's probably because you are a new or returning player to Epic 7 in 2025. Over the past 7 years of playing it, Epic 7 has become one of my favorite games of all time. I love its anime aesthetics, and I especially love its character designs. And I'm a big fan of how it manages to balance both interesting PvE content with PvP battles. And as of April of this year, the team behind the game has massively overhauled it with the Epic 7 Origin update. This update aims to simplify it for new and returning players, making it the absolute best time to jump into the game. That said, Epic 7 is still a 7-year-old game, and as such, there's a lot of content and a lot of stuff going on with it. And that can be very daunting and very scary for you. Even myself, someone who makes guides for this game, I didn't know exactly what I should cover for a new and returning player guide. So I just decided to cover all of it. Like, literally everything in the game I will touch on in this video, even though it's like a 40-minute video. All the while, I'll be trying to give you pointers to help fast track you to the end game, so that way you can enjoy and experience everything I've loved about Epic 7 over these past 7 years. Use the timestamps down below in case you know something already to jump ahead to whatever you're trying to learn. Otherwise, just sit back, relax, and listen to me talk about everything there is to see in Orbis. This is Epic 7 in 2025. Epic 7's story focuses on Raz El Claire, the heir of the Covenant who was created by the goddess Diche to protect the world of Orbis and defeat the Archdemon. Each time Raz fails on his mission, the world resets. The game's tutorial takes place during Raz's 6th failed attempt, with the main game allowing the player to experience Raz's 7th time through the world. Previously, players would be dropped into the main lobby after only a few minutes of the game and be totally lost. To ensure this doesn't happen again, the developers in 2025 have completely reworked the tutorial for beginners, expanding it greatly. Players will now get to see Raz's journey through the eyes of newcomer, Victorica of House Hilag. Use your time in the 6th world to experience not only Victorica's fully voice-acted and animated story, but get a feel for the game's combat and its many systems. Upon clearing Chapter 2 of the 6th World episode, you'll unlock 2 key features: Summons, which is how you unlock new heroes and artifacts, as well as the Orbis Guide. You can access both of these features from the game's main lobby on the right-hand side of your screen. If ever you're unsure of how to navigate around the game's user interface, tap the 4 blue squares in the top right-hand corner of your screen to expand the sidebar and display everything. Take a moment now to look at this menu on your screen to get an idea of what each button does and familiarize yourself with it. To return to the story, simply click Episode. But for now, let's talk about Summons and then the Orbis Guide. Summons are the game's gacha system and how you'll acquire new heroes as well as artifacts. Heroes are the playable characters in Epic 7 that you can add to your team and come in 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star rarities. Unlike many other gacha games, Epic 7's lower 3-star heroes are quite strong and form the backbone of a lot of PvE teams, so please do not ignore them just because they are low rarity. High rarity heroes are usually, but not always, designed more for PvP, as that is one big aspect of Epic 7's late game. Artifacts are accessories that you could equip to your heroes to give them bonus effects and augment the way they function in battle. Think of them similar to other items or weapons that you equip to characters in other gacha games that you may have played. But for now, let's quickly go over the summon screen and the types of banners that appear on it so that way you are familiar with it. The top banner is going to always be the current featured banner and cost Covenant bookmarks to roll. Covenant bookmarks are the most common type of premium gacha currency and can be obtained from various different quests and also drop pretty regularly from farming most of the game stages. The featured banner has a pity of 121 summons. Unlike other games, there are no 50/50s here. The only 5-star hero you can pull is the featured one that is on the featured banner. As a trade-off, the featured artifact is random, but you could always pick up at least one copy from the game shop via Powder of Knowledge. Powder of Knowledge is obtained from selling artifacts that you no longer want. After that, we come to the Story Summon, which allows you to roll for non-limited 5-stars who have already had a banner more than 6 months old in case there is a specific hero you want. It's also accompanied by their side story being unlocked in case you want to read through and play through their story. After that, we have the Covenant Summon, which is the game's standard banner, and is something I recommend that you don't pull on outside of the free daily summons that it provides. Next, we have the Elemental Summon, which uses up elemental bookmarks. These are gained through various different quests or through being in an active guild. These are guaranteed to be a character of the corresponding element, so for example, if you roll with fire bookmarks, the resulting hero will be a fire hero. After that, we have the Moonlight summon, which is where you'll get the game's various different light and dark element heroes, many of which are essential for the game's PvP game modes. The Moonlight summon unlocks after you clear episode 1 of the story. And finally, the big one, the Mystic summon, which lets you target the specific Moonlight 5-star hero that is rated up on the banner. Unlike featured summons, there is a 50-50 on this banner, and you don't get too many Mystic summons in a given year. So please, make sure that you're rolling for a hero that is either strong or that you won't regret spending resources on. For banners using Covenant bookmarks, you can also use your Skystones in order to summon, but I would advise against this. At some point throughout your journey, you'll unlock the Secret Shop, which is located on the left-hand side of the game's main lobby. This shop levels up as your account rank improves. You can spend your Skystones here to refresh the contents of the shop, which contain various different bookmarks that you can buy with gold. Although tedious, I highly recommend rolling the Secret Shop to get summons for both Covenant and Mystic Summon banners, as you will get far more rolls this way than if you had just spent your Skystones straight up. Your first summon when you access this system will be the 4-star Soul Weaver Angelica. Angelica is a serviceable hero early on that eventually gets eclipsed later by more powerful Soul Weavers. The game assumes, though, that you'll be using her for the Orbis guide, so make sure you hang on to her. Speaking of the Orbis guide, let's talk about it now. This new feature has several sections, the first of which is the Three Sisters Diary. Here, you can learn about your daily quest to complete in order to get max rewards, similar to what you would see in other live service games. Next is Path to Air. This is the most important part of the Orbis guide. These are the quests that will walk you through Epic 7's story and all of its gameplay features. By completing these quests, you'll fast track yourself for success. You should be following the Path to Air whenever possible until it is fully complete. After that, we come to a Journey of Succession, which details more difficult content such as hunts, Hall of Trials, and more that we'll talk about later in this video. Currency Details is the next one, and it shows you the location of various different items that you'll need in order to upgrade and strengthen your heroes. And finally, the last tab is Guide, which shows time-limited events such as side stories, monthly quests, and more. Now that you know what the Orbis Guide does, let's focus on the Path to Air's first 2 quests, acquiring a new hero via connections, as well as leveling a hero via penguins. Connections are accessed through the game's recruit menu and give you free heroes to add to your party. Most of the connection heroes in Epic 7 are staple units that you will need to clear some of the game's hardest PvE content, so please don't ignore them. The hero that they start you with is going to be Free Spirit Tierra, who is one of the best early game AoE attackers. She specializes in clearing story content under the episode tab, which is going to make her perfect for a brand new player. Next up, let's explain the game's leveling system. To level up your heroes, simply use this level up button located here and feed penguins to them. If you run out of penguins, a pop-up menu will let you spend Stigma to purchase more of them, or you can do so through the game's sanctuary located in the game's main lobby. In case you don't know, Stigma is a currency that is obtained simply through spending stamina in Epic 7. The more you play, the more Stigma you have. I recommend leveling Free Spirit Tierra alongside of Victorica and Angelica to level 40 to start, as you'll need all 3 of them going forward. The level cap, by the way, in this game is 10 levels for each star of rarity that the character is. For example, Free Spirit Tierra is a 4-star hero, therefore she maxes out at level 40. Once a hero hits their level cap, you can ascend them using Spirit Blooms using the promotion button located here. This works very similar to penguins, by the way. Use what you have to promote, and if you run out, use Stigma via the in-game pop-up or the sanctuary. Each time you promote a hero, their rarity increases by 1 star, thus increasing their level cap by another 10 levels. The cap for heroes currently in Epic 7 is 6 stars, or level 60 in case you were wondering. There are 3 other buttons besides level up and promotion on a hero's tab, so let's quickly go over those. First up is Skill Enhance. Skill Enhance powers up a hero's skills by increasing their damage or percentage chances on various effects. When you are first starting out in Epic 7, it's important to only Skill Enhance 3-star heroes, as it requires just Stigma and Catalyst. These are things that only cost your time and stamina to get back. For 4-star and higher rarity heroes in Epic 7, those ones are going to use a material called Mullagora for their skill enhance. Mullagora are finite and only gained through time-gated events or weekly through the game's various different shops. They can also be obtained through the game's sanctuary once or twice a week. In short, Mulligora are a premium currency that you do not want to waste. The only way to get more when you run out is to wait time or spend real life money. Memory Imprint is Epic 7's dupe system. Unlike other gacha, in Epic 7, a duplicate hero is any hero with the same character name. So for example, a regular version and a Moonlight version of the same name hero can be used to unlock duplicate bonuses for each other. Feed duplicate heroes to unlock a character's imprint release, which gives a team-wide stat bonus. Through the use of ego fragments gained weekly through the game's shop, you can also unlock a hero's imprint concentration. The concentration allows you to trade in the team-wide bonus of the release for bonus stats for only the imprinted hero. You can freely swap between the two at any time, so choose whichever bonus is most helpful for the current battle. As a bonus, S imprinting heroes, even 3 stars, may sometimes yield Covenant bookmarks under the game's reputation tab, so keep that in mind if you're a new player. Lastly, we come to Awaken, where you can spend runes of a hero's corresponding element to increase their base stats. Whenever possible, you should awaken your heroes you intend to play, as these are permanent base stat increases and are fixed, unlike the RNG that can occur with equipment. If you're struggling early on, awaken your heroes to at least 3 stars, but ideally you'll want to take them as far as you possibly can. To acquire more runes, farm Spirit Altar under battle. Just choose whichever color altar corresponds to your hero and get to farming. The easy difficulty drops normal runes, the normal difficulty drops greater runes, and the higher difficulties drop both greater runes and epic runes, so farm accordingly. By now you've heard me mention the Sanctuary a few times, so let's quickly touch on this as it has changed quite a bit with the Epic 7 Origin update. The Sanctuary has been simplified into 3 sections: Forest of Souls, Heart of Orbis, and the Alchemist Steeple. Forest of Souls is where you go to claim penguins, spirit blooms, and your weekly Mulligora. These are generated automatically over several hours, and all you have to do is harvest them. Otherwise, use the Growth Altar button to spend Stigma to produce more instantly. The Heart of Orbis is perhaps the most daunting thing here, but honestly, it's pretty simple. Every Monday and the first of every month, you will gain some number of corrupted relics. You can purify 10 of these relics at a time to receive a random reward, which you can then store into one of 5 slots. Every time you purify a relic, the XP gauge increases on the Heart of Orbis. As your Heart of Orbis levels up, the rarity of potential rewards that you could store increases. At level 1, you'll only have access to things like leaves for getting more stamina, gold, charms to improve equipment, so on and so forth. As you level it up though, you'll have access to powerful equipment and guaranteed 5-star heroes. Before the end of each month, you'll have the ability to claim exactly 1 reward from your accumulated storage, so make sure it's the best one that will help you on your Epic 7 journey. If your slots are full and you come across a better reward when purifying, don't worry about it. You can hit the Manage Storage button and delete one that you no longer want to free up space for the new reward. And finally, the Alchemist Steeple lets you exchange equipment cores weekly for more charms to level up your equipment. You'll learn more about equipment cores later on in this video. Now that you understand the game's hero progression systems and all of the items associated, let's talk about how to gear our heroes with equipment. Equipment is perhaps the most important aspect of Epic 7. As awesome as a rare 5-star hero can be, it means absolutely nothing without good equipment, and you won't get very far in Epic 7 if you don't understand this system. Upon completing Chapter 4, What Must Be Protected, in the 6th World Story, you'll unlock the Ogre's Armory, which is where you will be able to farm your very first equipment. The Ogre's Armory is a level which will allow you to get some powerful early game equipment to help progress your account into the late game much faster. This does away with many of the confusing and time-consuming aspects of Epic 7 in the past, so it's a pretty good change. You can farm Ogre's Armory up to 10 times a day, so I'd recommend doing this to get a baseline of equipment to work with at the start, and if for whatever reason you're stuck, feel free to farm it each day until your gear quality improves. From here though, let's go over the basics of equipment. Each hero in Epic 7 can hold 6 pieces of equipment: a weapon, helmet, armor, necklace, ring, and boots. Each of these pieces has an item level, main stat, substats, rarity, and set bonus. Item level corresponds to how strong the quality of the item is. The higher the number, the better. Use what you have at the start of the game, but eventually you will want to try to progress towards using only level 85 plus equipment, as these are the most valuable ones in the late game. The main stat of a piece of equipment refers to this value that is displayed here. For weapons, helmets, and armor, this statistic is fixed, so you don't need to worry about it. We often refer to these fixed pieces as left side pieces since they appear on the left side of your character's live 2D art in the hero menu. Necklaces, rings, and boots can have varied main stats. We often refer to these 3 pieces as right side pieces since they appear on the right side of your character's live 2D art. At the start of Epic 7, the only right side piece that you'll have access to is boots, with rings and necklaces coming into play later on in Episode 2. You can strengthen each of these pieces of equipment by enhancing it using charms or powder, which are gained from simply playing the game or selling your unwanted equipment. For each level the equipment gains, the main stat will increase in value. When an equipment reaches level 3, 6, 9, 12, or 15, one of the equipment's substats will be increased or unlocked at random. Each piece of equipment starts with between 1 and 4 substats and can hold a maximum of 4. In case it isn't obvious, substats give bonus stats to your heroes, thus making them stronger. For now, level some Ogre Armory equipment and slap them on Tieria, Angelica, and Victorica. This will be enough to carry you through to the finish line of the 6th World chapter and move on to Episode 1. I highly recommend watching my newly updated equipment guides for new players, which I will link in this video's description. This will help you fully grasp the game's entire equipment system. You will need to understand the system at some point if you want to tackle most of the difficult endgame content and various different PvP game modes. It's daunting, I understand, but just check out the guides when you're ready, you won't be disappointed. After clearing the 6th world, you will learn more about the game's real main character, Raz El-Clair, and his adventures through the 7th world of Orbis. Raz's base form that you receive at the start of Episode 1 isn't really that strong, so there's no real reason to play him. That said, once you clear Episode 2 of Adventure, Raz will have access to a quest line that increases his power. There, he will easily become one of the strongest heroes in the entire game and be a mainstay of your account. Similarly, you will acquire the game's other protagonist, Mercedes, in Chapter 1 of Episode 1. Just like with Raz, she isn't worth much at first, but after clearing Episode 3 of the story, you will gain access to a quest that will unlock her true power, where she'll become an invaluable asset for many pieces of late-game PvE content. During Chapter 1 of Episode 1, a new feature will also appear in the game's lobby, known as the Moonlight's Blessing. Here, you could choose from a pool of 6 Moonlight 5-star heroes to help you jumpstart your account and progress you through the game. The characters are on loan at the start, so feel free to swap back and forth to find the hero that you enjoy playing the most. After you complete all the various quests that are required of you, you can lock in on the one you want, and it will become a permanent fixture of your roster. Moonlight 5-star heroes are some of the game's most powerful characters, so make sure you choose one that you won't regret. As of the recording of this video, Arbiter Vildred and Ruel of Light are currently the 2 strongest heroes from this list. If anything changes, please check down below for a pinned comment. Since this is such an important decision, I'll quickly run through each of the heroes. First up is Arbiter Vildred. He has a powerful AoE DPS that is strong in PvE content and also strong in PvP content, making him a well-rounded choice. Ruel of Light is a powerful single-target healer and cleanser with the ability to revive allies, making her a great safety net for new players in both PvE and PvP content. Spectre Tenebria is one of the best PvE characters in the entire game for difficult content, but there are 3 stars out there that can be used as substitutes if you don't mind working a bit harder. As far as PvP goes, she's currently outclassed as of the recording of this video. By the way, if you don't mind spending money, the Hero Growth Epic Pass will allow you to pick her up for just $30 US as a new player, something to keep in mind. Moving on, we have Martial Artist Ken, who is a PvP hero focused on counterattacks. He's somewhat niche, but he is by no means weak in the current metagame, so if you like him, consider taking him. Similarly, Judge Kisei is a PvP hero that is focused on bursting down enemy team compositions. She's very hard to use effectively, but again, she is by no means weak, so if you like her appearance, she's not a bad choice. Lastly, we come to Dark Corvus. Despite his cool appearance and awesome voice, he doesn't really do much. His kit is worthless in PvE content, and despite being a PvP focused hero, he still really struggles in the current meta, again as of the recording of this video. Once you reach Chapter 2 of Episode 1, the Orbis guide will force you to learn 3 new game modes in Labyrinth, Abyss, and Arena in order to progress, so let's talk about each of those now. In case you're unaware, Labyrinth stages have you traversing through various corridors on a map, looking for treasures and defeating enemies. In the past, Labyrinth entrances were restricted to only a few times a week, but now with the Origin update, players could explore them at their leisure. Even if you're a returning player, it behooves you to return to the Labyrinths as they come with free summons and free equipment, making it well worth your time. The only holdover from the old Labyrinth system is the morale mechanic. In the top left-hand corner of your screen, this number will go down as you fight and explore. Once it gets to -50, you're basically guaranteed to instantly lose any fight you engage with, so keep that in mind. If you want to be super efficient, you can also camp once per Labyrinth run to restore up to 30 morale, so you don't need to use so many attempts. After Labyrinth, we come to my favorite game mode in Abyss. Abyss is amongst the most difficult content in the entire game. That may sound scary, but it really doesn't start off that difficult. And the rewards for clearing Abyss, they're really good. They include things like powerful equipment, tons of materials to level your heroes faster, and of course, summon materials, specifically the ones that are geared towards getting those rare Moonlight heroes. As long as you tackle the Abyss floors that the Orbis guide asks of you when they appear, it's pretty straightforward. You can basically auto your way all the way up to floor 90. Once you get to floor 90 though, these stages will become much harder and require much more from you. But don't worry, that's where I've got you covered. I'm pretty much the Epic 7 community's resident expert on Abyss, having an entire guide series dedicated to beating the game's hardest content with only free-to-play heroes. You can find that playlist for Abyss linked down in this video's description. After that, we come to Arena, which is one of the 3 major PvP game modes in Epic 7, and one of the core pieces of the endgame. Arena has you set up a defense consisting of 4 heroes in your roster. From there, you'll go out and fight other player defenses that are controlled by the game's AI. What makes Arena important is that each fight earns you conquest points, which are the main currency needed to buy XP materials and level your equipment in the game shop. Additionally, your Arena rank determines how many free Skystones you get each week when you log in on Monday. You'll also need to reach at least Gold in Arena if you want to keep your Moonlight Blessing hero that you chose earlier. In short, not doing Arena massively reduces the amount of equipment that you can level due to the lack of charms, and also the amount of summons that you'll get due to the lack of Skystones. To take the pressure off, feel free to fight NPCs until you get used to the system before jumping in and trying to climb the ladder. After these game modes, you'll want to keep progressing through episode 1 until you complete it. To help you finish that episode, in chapter 4, you'll receive 1 5-star hero selector if you are a new player. This basically replaces the old selective summon system of yesteryear and instead puts the character straight onto your account. Rather than go through each hero individually, as there are a lot, I'll just give you my short list of the best options. With your Moonlight Blessing earlier, if you took a damage dealer, I feel like Destina is going to be the best option for you to take with the Selector. Destina is a powerful debuff cleanser, healer, and reviver, all rolled into one, and she's also useful in a variety of game modes throughout the entirety of your Epic 7 journey. However, if you took Ruel of Light with your Moonlight Blessing, I'd recommend taking a damage dealer instead, as having 2 Soul Weavers isn't particularly useful. Vildred is the one that strikes me as particularly useful, as he has great AoE capabilities which, when paired with Free Spirit Tiara, allow you to mow down a lot of enemies. He also scales particularly well in PvE content, being a core component of episode and hunt farming teams. If Vildred isn't your jam though, I feel like Ravi is still an excellent option for you to consider. She can hard carry you through a lot of early game content, and is at least somewhat decent in PvP game modes. Also, around this time, you will probably hit rank 15 in terms of player account. You'll be able to receive at this point 1 copy of Iseria and Song of Stars by checking the game's event tab, which is found on the left-hand side of the game's main lobby. Iseria is one of the strongest PvE characters in the entire game, being able to reset cooldowns of other heroes and providing multiple defense breaks to help increase the team's overall damage. Song of Stars is an incredible 5-star artifact to put on Iseria and is just generally useful for hunt strategies later on in the game. These will be excellent additions to your account, especially after unlocking Tamarinne later on. At this point, you should focus on finishing up episode 1. Then we can move on to episode 2, where a ton more things unlock. First up, you'll unlock a 5-star artifact selector. Just like with the heroes before, there are going to be a ton of options, so I'll just give you my top 3 in no particular order. First up is Bloodstone, an artifact that heals your team whenever the equipped ranger attacks. This allows your DPS to be a sustain for your team and forego a traditional Soul Weaver. It's used very commonly in Abyss and hard content. It corresponds to no banners, so you'll either have to get it luckily off a daily or from this selector. Similarly, my second choice will be Rod of Amaryllis. This heals a teammate whenever the equipped Soul Weaver uses a non-attack skill. This is great early on for surviving difficult fights, or to grant healing to Soul Weavers that normally wouldn't have it, such as Diane. Like with Bloodstone, it's not tied to any particular banner, so this Selector is your best chance to take it. My last recommendation is going to be Abyssal Crown. It does have an accompanying banner, but it's still very useful. It gives mages the ability to stun on any attack, whether that's single target or AoE. It's excellent for PvP and the cornerstone of many strategies for hard PvE content. The second big thing you'll unlock in episode 2 is Moonlight Summons. The game will give you 6 gold transmit stones, which you can exchange under the game shop to trade in for 5 galaxy bookmarks to do your very first Moonlight Summon. Hopefully, it's a good one. But more importantly than the summons, specialty changes will unlock at the start of episode 2, found underneath the game's recruit menu. Specialty change quests, once completed, change many of the game's 3-star heroes into characters that are on par or in some cases better than many of the 5-star heroes in the game's gacha, so please do not neglect them. The game will start you off with Clury, so that way you can unlock Falconer Clury, who is absolutely worth the time. You'll be using her not only for hunts, but Abyss later on as well, down the line. The real star, though, of unlocking specialty change here is going to be Lorena. Lorena unlocks from the game's connections after episode 1, chapter 5, but you can't unlock her specialty change, Commander Lorena, until this point. Commander Lorena is, simply put, the best single target DPS in the entire game for hard PvE content. She is the backbone of many strategies and a staple for every single Epic 7 player in my opinion. Considering how long it takes to finish Lorena's specialty change, it's best to start it as soon as you unlock episode 2, as it'll probably take you until you get to episode 3 to actually complete it. So many players ignore Lorena that it has become a meme here on this channel and in this community. There is no replacement for Commander Lorena. Please invest in her. Lastly, you'll unlock your first pet and the background battling system. Pets come in 2 varieties, lobby and battle pets. These can be summoned daily from the game's pet house or by using tickets. Let's cover lobby pets first, as they're the easiest to explain. A lobby pet simply sits in your lobby and generates rewards for you daily, such as free items, and they also provide passives such as reduced gold costs on leveling equipment. Battle pets also have passives, although these are ones that increase the amount of items or currency that you receive in a particular game mode. For example, you'll get bonus runes from a Spirit Altar run, or bonus equipment when you do hunts, and so on and so forth. Battle pets also allow you to auto fights in the background without having to do them manually. This effectively allows you to multitask at Epic 7 and get more done in a shorter period of time. The number of fights you can background battle in one sitting is going to be 30. But to do that, you're going to need to increase your pet to 5-star rarity. To increase the rarity of pets, you need to max level a 1-star pet and then synthesize another 1-star pet into it. You can then use Crystal of Memories to increase the chance that the synthesis will succeed, which I recommend you do and set to 100%. Not setting it to 100% and having you fail means you wasted a lot of time and a lot of resources. You can also select which passive skills to hold on to from each of the 2 pets that you're synthesizing, so try to make sure that you choose the highest ranked ones that have the most desirable pet skills. Then, you simply need to repeat this process by synthesizing a 2-star pet into another 2-star pet, and so on and so forth. Eventually, the goal should be to get a 5-star pet that holds 3 triple S skills that you merged onto it for any particular game mode. That means you're going to want to have a 5-star pet for Hunt, a 5-star pet for Spirit Altar, a 5-star pet for Adventure, and a 5-star pet for Rift. I will display on your screen now the optimal combinations for each type of pet, so that way you know what to look out for and what to focus on to build a perfect pet. Pets are a very time-consuming process, but in my opinion, they're absolutely worth it to increase your farming efficiency long-term. Now that you have your very first pet, progress through episode 2 until you unlock the connection hero Furious. Once this connection quest is complete, you'll be able to tackle hunts and put that background battling to good use. In case you don't know, hunts are where you farm for new equipment and materials to craft your own gear. The Orbis guide will ask you to select between one of 3 hunts to start out with. This is between Wyvern, Golem, and Banshee. There's also 2 more hunts that you'll be able to challenge later on in Azamanak and Cadiz. Let's go over each hunt and what makes each of them important. I'll be making in-depth guides covering all the hunts here on the channel over the coming weeks, so if you're keen for that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. They'll be linked down in this video's description when they're ready. The recommended hunt to start out with is going to be Wyvern, and that's largely because the Origin update sets you up for success here. Wyvern's main selling point is that it drops the speed set. As you can guess, this increases your hero's speed, and speed is currently the best stat in Epic 7, which is why people covet the set. That said, the rest of the hunt doesn't really have amazing value in my opinion. To get started on Wyvern, unlock and level up Furious from the game's connections and equip him with the gear that the game provides you from the Orbis guide. Once that's done, let's assemble your very first Wyvern team. I recommend Angelica in the frontline slot to be your tank as well as primary healer. Then, round out your roster with the Furious that you just built, Free Spirit Tiara, and a damage dealer of your choice. If you're struggling, use the Grace of Growth feature found in the game's main menu. Grace of Growth is a system where you temporarily level and skill up heroes to try them out before you actually spend resources on developing them. By putting Angelica here, she'll gain a lot of stats and skill levels, which should make her tanky enough to survive the Wyvern while your DPS take it down. Grace of Growth is a very handy tool, but please be aware that there is a couple of days cooldown between each use. Once you've cleared Wyvern a few times, the game will give you Mui, who you can add to your team in place of one of your DPS. Continuing along the hunt questline will also give you Sigret and Brieg. Sigret is perhaps the best Wyvern character in the game, and Brieg is an incredibly powerful tank that is useful in a number of game modes, so make sure you pick him up early. After you've done some of the Wyvern quests, consider taking a look at Golem. Golem used to be a joke of a hunt, but if you're a returning player, you may be surprised to find out that the hunt is actually one of the best in the game right now. While the attack set that it drops is laughably bad, it does come with the protection set, which is considered a staple of tanks right now. The defense and health sets that you get from this hunt also aren't too shabby. Clearing the basic Golem questline will unlock Sirmia, another god tier single target DPS for all PvE content, right up there with Commander Larina. Of the initial 3 hunts, the last one to talk about is Banshee. Banshee is perhaps the most bang for your buck hunt in the entire game. Every single set that it drops is meta usable in some shape or fashion. Destruction is the best DPS set in the entire game for PvP, Resist is great for Soul Weavers, and Counter and Lifesteal are playstyle defining sets. Clearing the basic Banshee questline will unlock Vivian, who is perhaps one of the best overall PvE characters in the game. She has buffs for your team, does good AoE damage, and is not only a great farmer for story mode, but also a top tier DPS for a number of hunts. She's amazing in Golem, Banshee, and also the next hunt that we're going to be talking about, Azamanic. This hunt features 2 very important gear sets, Rage and Immunity. Rage is the best PvE DPS set in the entire game, and is core to being able to farm at warp speed in this game, so it's important to farm it as early as you can. Immunity is a core set for any player who is serious about PvP, as it allows you to dodge harmful debuffs at the start of battle. I recommend focusing on the Azamanic hunt after clearing episode 2 of the story, once you have finished Raz's specialty change and gained access to the connection hero Tamarinne. The last hunt to talk about in this section is Cades. Cades is the most difficult hunt and also has the least value going for it. The main reasons to farm Cades are for the penetration sets for single target DPS or torrent sets for AoE DPS. More often than not, it's hard to recommend farming Cades, and instead, in my opinion, is better to work towards having a successful Rift team. There, you can actually slot the equipment that you want instead of farming such a low value hunt. Feel free to choose whichever hunt you want to start with, but again, this guide recommends Wyvern. And don't worry about missing out on the free characters like Sirmia or Vivian if you start with Wyvern. You can freely swap between the quest lines at any point by hitting the back button, so that way you can pick up all of these lovely ladies. After you started farming your very first hunt, you'll also receive a ton of materials to craft equipment. From the game's main menu, go to the Steel Workshop, where you can begin crafting equipment at the cost of materials and gold. To begin, just click whichever piece of equipment you want to craft, select if you want to make 1 or 10 pieces at a time, and go nuts. As a general rule, I recommend only hanging on to red rarity pieces or purple ones that have the speed substat, as the others just don't give as many stats to be worth it. This is also a good time to craft some accessories like rings and necklaces. For rings, I recommend sticking with health percentage for your tanks and soul weavers, attack percentage for your DPS, effectiveness percentage for debuffers, and effect resistance percentage for debuff cleansers. As for necklaces, critical hit chance and critical hit damage are going to be good on most DPS, and stick with health percentage for most other characters. You might also notice that you've come across defense percentage, which is a special case I feel like. You only really want to use defense percentage gear on characters that say they scale off of defense, such as Guard Captain Crow. For more information, again, check out my new player equipment guide series, linked in this video's description. Whatever gear you craft that you don't want, you could sell it for gold and powder to level up more equipment. Or you could simply extract it for equipment cores, which you'll use later on in equipment conversion. Unlocked after episode 2, chapter 8, equipment conversion is essentially the game's equipment pity system. Let's say a sword or ring didn't have the substats that you wanted. Well, you can extract it for cores of the same type. This will allow you to then convert it into a type of equipment with the set and main stat of your choosing. You will need the appropriate conversion gem depending on what type of equipment you want to craft, by the way. These can be obtained through conversion gem selection boxes from the game shop, and you can also get them from your guild or various events. Also unlocked in episode 2, chapter 8 is the game's equipment reforge system. This allows you to use reforged materials which are gained from the highest tiers of hunts to reforge your item level 85 gear to level 90. This gives your equipment overall a massive boost. As a general rule of thumb, try to only reforge gear that ends up with equipment score of 90 or higher unless you know what you're doing. 90 is basically the benchmark of what myself and other players would consider average to good gear. 100 plus equipment score is amazing, by the way, and of course there are always going to be exceptions where less than 90 equipment score is going to be incredible too. I'll cover this topic more in depth in the last part of my equipment guide series, so make sure that you check it out. The last and possibly most important thing though that you'll unlock in episode 2 chapter 8 is the Tamarinne connection quest. Tamarinne, in case you don't know, is the best PvE hero in the entire game by a massive margin. She's a staple nearly everywhere, so it's very important that you get her as early as possible, especially since her best teammates are Roz and Asaria. These are heroes that you obviously will have up until this point. Just add your own DPS such as Commander Labyrinth to the two of them, and you're nearly unstoppable. The catch is that the Epic 7 Origin update changed the quest that unlocks Tamarinne. Now, in order to get Tamarinne on your team, you will be required to join a guild and participate in it for several days. This is a good segue onto why guilds are incredibly important in Epic 7. There are 3 major reasons to join a guild. Number 1, you get bonus gold and materials by being in a guild thanks to things like XP and gold boosters, as well as the world boss, so it behooves you to join one if you want to get stronger faster. Number 2, you gain access to the guild shop, which contains many of the game's best artifacts, such as Warhorn and a Symbol of Unity. It also gives you access to weekly Mulligora and equipment conversion chests. And finally, number 3, you can participate in Guild Wars, which is another PvP game mode that gives Mystic Medals as a reward. In case you forgot, Mystic Medals are the primary currency that you need in order to roll for rare Moonlight 5-star heroes in this game. And Guild War is going to be your primary way to acquire them, so do not skip out on it. I recognize that PvP is daunting, but just know that the mystics that you're going to be getting from Guild War are largely dependent on your participation, not necessarily how well you perform. So just go out there and start making friends and join a guild. You can use the game's handy guild finder or simply just jump into my Discord or a friend of the channel Tristan Wolf's Discord and ask around to see if any other players are recruiting for new members. The final thing to talk about before wrapping up episode 2 is the Moonlight Theater, which is unlocked in chapter 9. Located under the game's side story menu, Moonlight Theater is a collection of what-if stories that take place in alternate timelines or worlds. The first time you read through each chapter, you will acquire Mystic Medals, so it's absolutely worth your time to do so. Unfortunately, you can't just sit through and read it all in one go, as it requires tickets for each chapter, which you can purchase with gold if you just want to blitz through the entire story. To start with, I recommend reading Fallen Land, a what-if story centered around Lilius and if her plans actually started to succeed on the continent of Cydonia. After reading all of Fallen Land and fully unlocking your first Moonlight Blessing 5-star hero, the game will give you a second Moonlight Blessing. This one contains Moonlight 5-stars that appeared in the Fallen Land story. As with before, let's quickly go over all of them and check down below for a pinned comment to see if anything has changed. First up, Death Dealer Ray. He is my number 1 pick from the Selector as of the recording of this video. He trivializes a lot of PvP matches thanks to buff strips, strong crowd control effects, and his Venom mechanic, which will slowly whittle down opponents until they die. Conqueror Lilius is a fast and aggressive support that is useful in both PvE and PvP. Remnant Violet is a powerful single target DPS that relies on the dodge gimmick in order to stay alive. Mediator Cleric is a solid cleanser and support if you need one for PvE or PvP content. Sylvan Sage Vivian is an AoE burst mage that is unaffected by control effects, making her a solid pick in PvP game modes. Commander Pavel is a slow burst damage dealer that is designed to be comboed with faster heroes on his team. He's pretty good, by the way, at farming PvE content. And lastly, we have Astromancer Elena, who's the only hero on this list that I do not recommend that you take, as she is completely outclassed by Mort, a regular 5-star in almost every single instance. Now that you have 3 story chapters under your belt, let's start wrapping up this beginner's guide by talking about where to go from here. Remember, if you ever get lost, consult the Orbis guide and its various tabs for the things that you still have left to do. At this point, I would start unlocking the game's various different connection heroes, such as Yuna and Bomb Model Kana. Don't forget also specialty change heroes such as Adventurer Roz that we talked about earlier in this video. As a newer player, you'll need lots of gold, penguins, spirit blooms, and catalysts to improve your heroes. With the E7 Origin update, the best place to actually farm these things is to just push story mode as far as you can. Harder difficulty story stages drop more gold, more powder to level up your equipment, and contain more stigma. Remember, stigma translates to penguins and spirit blooms, which you can use to start taking your favorite characters up to level 60. As you develop your roster, you'll also want to improve your hunt teams and try your hands at Expeditions as well as Hall of Trials. Expeditions is a game mode that accompanies hunts where you can farm Reforge materials to strengthen your equipment. Remember, we talked about Reforged materials in the reforging section of this video. Hall of Trials is a bi-weekly challenge where you try to get the highest score possible in order to obtain resources that unlock exclusive equipment for your favorite characters. The last 2 gameplay modes that I haven't touched on in this guide are Rift and World Arena, both of which go beyond the scope of this video as they're for endgame players. Rift is an advanced hunt that is designed to let players pick the sets that it drops. Depending on the season, you might actually be able to farm Rift very early on, but the mode comes with some very real downsides. It gives you less resources to reforge your gear and doesn't drop Skystones or summons like regular hunt does. As a newer player, I don't think that these are going to be things that you want to give up. Finally, World Arena. This is Epic 7's true endgame. Here, you'll fight other players in real-time strategy battles to see who the better player is. It's a lot of fun, but it's an incredibly complex game mode and would take hours to explain all the finer points. You can obtain cosmetic items as well, such as this Sylvan Sage Vivian skin on your screen for doing well each season. The game even has a world championship each year to find out who the best player in the world is. Who knows? Maybe one day it could be you watching this video. And that is going to do it for my new player guide for Epic 7 in 2025. If you still have any questions, feel free as always to ask them down in the comment section below, or hit me up on my Discord, which is also linked down there as well. You can also find me on my weekly stream segments such as Fix It Friday here on YouTube or over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/IM_TSU. Hopefully this was of some help to you, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.